Hello and welcome to NoCB, a grand strategy podcast for the week of August 12th, 2020.
12th of August, actually.
Yeah, no, I'm going to concur with Loris here.
Okay, fair enough. 12th of August, that's fine. I am TJ Hafer, and we have with us our wonderful panel, including Rose.
Hello.
Including Lambert.
Hello there.
Including Father Loris.
Hi. Hello.
And joining us once again is Paradox's own Johan Andersson.
Hello, everyone.
And we're bringing Johan on this week to talk about the 10th anniversary of Victoria 2, which just happened recently, which will kind of be our big theme topic for the show. But before we get to that, we do have a few dev diaries to talk about, including one that somebody who is going to be modding CK3 fairly extensively, I was pretty excited about. They did it's actually the second modding dev diary for CK3. The last one was more about scripting. This one talked a little bit more about traits and modding the interface. I was thrilled to find that you can now create override files for things like traits instead of having to copy over the entire traits file just to modify it for your mod, which also was a compatibility problem. A lot of the time, if you had multiple mods that would modify the same file, now it's all just going to be based on load order. Which I believe
anything that's like, if anyone else modifies defines, then it won't work with this one. It's like, but they work so well together. I imagine they're also going to make some mods a lot smaller than they otherwise would be, so easier.
Oh yeah, because you don't have to copy over all the text. This is Johan. I believe this is also how it works in Imperator, correct?
I'm not sure it currently works in Imperator like that, but I'm pretty sure that when the next update comes after this code is ready, or it might have been, it will probably work like that. But this is the thing that happened in development when you have guys like Matthew, who's a former modder, is allowed to do all the modding support for things. They implement the stuff that they really, really want for mods.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean this is like even just that one little change is going to be a pretty huge deal.
CK2 had the strongest modding community, I think, out of all the Paradox games, as far as I'm aware.
They have a huge community for it. Yeah, full overhaul mods.
Yeah, I mean, Hearts of Iron and Stellaris could probably give it a run for its money, but I definitely played more. I mean, I played more of CK2 than any of the other Paradox games. I also played more mods for CK2, I think, than any other. Well, no, probably Hearts of Iron. Because Hearts of Iron, I play almost exclusively with mods now. So
let's not forget one of the most classic mod game ever. EU3 and EU4, they had the same mod, Mayo and Texas. Or Mayo first, but Mayo and Texas now.
True.
Yeah. Hey, I ring the bell, and it wasn't even me.
It wasn't even Lambert. Yes. It wasn't even Lambert who brought it up this time. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, I still need to get into that. There's so much.
Lambert, you've got a tutorial video coming out.
Less than a tutorial, and I had a sit down with one of the mod developers, Fire Kahuna, and I was like, okay, we'll just do a video where we'll talk about what has changed between the previous Mayo and Texas 2.5 and Mayo and Texas 3.0. I was thinking, about half an hour, we'll get a video out, it'd be nice. Got to an hour, and I was like, okay, we might have to come back to this a bit later. I've kind of prioritized my time. Next day, another hour. So I had 4 half-an-hour videos on everything that's changed. And after that, he's like, oh, there's a couple of things I actually forgot about. It's like, oh, I was, not surprised. 3.0 has changed so much, and you need to get into it. Yes, I still need to learn it, and I've put like 15 hours in since I got it, and I am still so lost.
Oh, I like that sort of complexity in a grand strategy, which does bring us back in a way to Victoria 2, right? Which is probably one of the more complicated grand strategies Paradox have released.
I'd agree with that.
I don't think it's complicated. It's more like as an obtuse interface.
I think that's
has
more
serious
accurate,
issues with the interface, though I have to say it's so much better than CK1, which I know, Johan, you worked on that as well, because I remember seeing your name in the developer list for it in the credits.
Every game.
Yeah.
Which, if anyone's ever played CK, playing CK2, it feels like it's so easy because the interface is so much better, but it's still a long shot from what it could be, which hopefully we'll see that with CK3. And so far it looks that way.
It's absolutely awesome to play. I've actually not worked that much on CK3, but the interface is just to blow me away all the time when I'm playing the game.
I have to say my favorite thing about the interface, which isn't even really, I guess, like totally part of the UI, is the fact that there's going to be tooltips inside of tooltips. So if you're reading about, if you do this, then you will get a Casus Belli, and you're a new player who doesn't know anything about this time period or the history behind it or the games, and you're like, what in the world is a Casus Belli? And you click on it, and then you get another tooltip.
Well, clearly what a Casus Belli is something that is surplus to requirements.
No,
yeah, exactly. By the way, if you don't
spell a thing, what we always used to have as a password for the EU4 Dev Clash.
Yeah.
NoCB, best CB.
Nice.
Perfect.
I was gonna say something related to tooltips. I had a question actually for Johan. What is the mod for a game that you have made that you have played the most? I'm curious.
So, I don't know, because there's some graphic mod for Stellaris that I've used quite a lot. I don't remember what's the name. There's a lot of like animated portraits and different ones from someone named like Sylph something, and I've used them a lot. So probably that. But I would probably argue that Aberration for EU2 is probably the mod that I played the most. But there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
I was part of actually modding, making that mod.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of like meta. I'm the developer, and I'm still working on a mod for the game.
Yeah, I think Josh Sawyer did something like that with Fallout New Vegas. Like, he released a mod that was basically what he wanted Fallout New Vegas to be, which made the game significantly harder, as I recall. I can't remember what it was called, but
I remember something like that. Yeah. Really good mod too.
Oh, the other thing I was going to say, speaking of if you don't know the time period, like Rose said, Kings and Generals put out an awesome video on the 867 start date that you should definitely check out. And I think they're going to do one about 1066 as well.
I wonder if they can get away with using the word bastard on YouTube. I know I say it a lot, but like, I mean, if you're talking about someone who was born out of wedlock, it's not actually a curse, right? Like, it's accurate. William didn't stop being a bastard when he, became conqueror. I mean,
right.
Even if he was born within wedlock, he was still a bastard.
Yeah, he was a bastard on multiple levels. Yeah.
Yes. No, but I'm just curious if they're going to refer to him as that. Like, they should, but like, there's still the element of, when you're a channel with over 1 million subs, do you really want to be throwing like curse words in there? You don't want to like provoke the algorithm. The absolute pain that it is.
Yeah. Anyway,
up on the screen, I do have a few images they gave us for modding what you can do. Right. Do the murdering. I like that. Yeah. Are you sure you want to do the murdering?
The answer is yes.
If you're playing CK3, the answer is yes. You do want to do the murdering. Who are we kidding?
Unless it's your only heir. And then it might not be the best idea. Unless you want to game over for some reason.
Yeah, or if your character has the kind trait and you don't want to have a mental break. Yeah.
As we talk about this, Dev Diary, we've actually got Black Ninja in chat as well.
Yes.
Yeah, you wrote it.
And he said one should always do the murdering.
Indeed.
One should always do the murdering. That's really a rule to live by. You only really need one commandment in life.
We're still bound by Twitch's terms of service. We actually mean that in jest.
The question is, can you do the murdering by yeeting them out the window?
Well, you could mod that in based on what we've seen here. You could mod in an execution method of yeeting them out the window, of course.
I mean, CK2 had the murder method of them falling off a balcony. That's close enough.
Yeah.
Although the one where the tavern blows up, I mean, you sort of yeet them out the roof of the tavern as it explodes.
In a way.
Yeah, I'll mod in defenestration execution method is like a religious tenet or something if it's not in it at launch.
I'm down for that.
A question though, I have that. Click me. You should click me. I'm a cool alert. You should probably check me out. If you click it, do you explode? Is that a new assassination attempt?
Yeah.
Turn into a tree.
Did anybody else have any thoughts about the CK3 diary before we move on along here?
There is a note in there that I'd like to just bring up that Matthew found out while making the Civ Diary 1.0 that you cannot add a custom icon when you are modding or via mod, but it's going to be fixed for 1.1. So it won't be available on release, but it will be available when 1.1 comes out.
I'd like to ask, what are your most look forward to mods for CK3?
I
know that we share that. Laura's Geheimnisnacht is mine too, but
yeah, there's a new update to it too. I don't do a very good job advertising in mod, but there's a new update for Geheimnisnacht. Go check it out. They deserve more downloads than they get, for sure. It's a beautiful mod.
I'd like to see Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Game of Thrones is the big obvious one. I mean, obviously, I'm looking forward to Shadow Kings, which is the definitive dark fantasy mod from the genius mind of TJ Hafer. But I'm really looking forward to working on mods, maybe even more so than playing mods for CK3. So
I will play your mod.
Yes, you will, or you're off the podcast.
Oh.
Rose, what is your what's yours? Oh, you already said Game of Thrones.
I said Game of Thrones, but then I honestly, though, of all the CK2 mods that I played, I didn't play a lot of them, was one that expanded lists for Horse Lords, because Horse Lords in CK2 are so broken, and handing out titles, you need an expanded list.
Oh yeah,
which just
hopefully
is not an issue at all in CK3.
Yeah, I think they still have the interaction for where you can just tell your chancellor to do it, but
no, you don't do that. Your chancellor will give every title to everyone that hates you, and then you're going to end up murdered in a rebellion.
The worst is
bloody ambitious as well.
It's the worst border gore they do. It's like, oh, you own. We're going to give Essex to the Duke of Northumbria for no goddamn reason. He's gonna own one county in the south for no reason.
We hate it so much.
Mm-hmm. Or they'll give away the counties that you've been trying to hold for yourself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Johan, is there a mod for CK3 you really want to see?
That's a good question. I want to see what people do with the UI.
Yeah. Like I haven't even really.
Agamade does then.
Yeah, I haven't really even thought through the implications of that fully, but that'll be fun to mess with. Yeah.
I wish I had more time to do modding, because I really enjoyed modding EU4.
Oh yeah,
and all that. I have time to do it.
I can't mod. I have no ability with the arcane arts. I'm just gonna enjoy them.
You just copy paste and change some numbers and descriptions. If you're not doing anything that complicated, it's pretty easy.
But that requires I'm not
a code person, but I can copy other people's code and then change it to do what I want it to.
Fair enough. Meneth says he wants to see what people do with the lifestyle system. He's thinking magic will be one of the first things. 100%. I want to see magic.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, Geheimnisnacht for CK3.
I already have all of the vampire lifestyle trees already written out in a design document for Shadow Kings. So that is going to be one of the there's going to be there's going to be 3 different vampire lifestyles that
we have.
I already kind of know what the perks are going to be too. Yeah,
there's the Twilight vampire lifestyle. There's the Nosferatu vampire lifestyle, and there's the Dracula vampire lifestyle.
Let's see. What do I have in the current design doc? I should link this from.
We have Smelly Chicken in chat making a guess that there'll be a naked mod day 1. And I think by day 2 there'll probably be a naked anime mod.
Actually, would this be the first Paradox game that has like what's that modding site called that you get?
No, CK2's already in it.
Is it Lover Lab?
Lover Lab. CK2's already in it. Someone shared a link to it to me today in my Discord.
Background's already well trodden, man.
Yeah, it is. I think Hathfine's also there.
Oh my goodness!
Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't even understand what Groogy sees in the fucking anime mod.
Oh yeah,
for EU4. Like, I don't get that either. But I mean, you know.
Speaking of EU4, there is a dev diary for that this week.
There is indeed.
There is. I think we want to go over Imperator first because we're gonna kind of transition from EU4 into
Vicky 2.
The Vicky 2 stuff. Yeah. So,
but it was a good attempt.
It was a good attempt. It was a perfect attempt, but TJ had to ruin it. It's all TJ's fault. I ruin everything. I ruined YouTube. I ruined Caption Bot. Like so yeah, we did. We got the Menander update just kind of like came out of nowhere. It was like, hey, by the way, this is coming out tomorrow. And then it was out.
I mean, they had the Caesar cipher things. It was like the first one was Menander. The second next day they did the Caesar cipher for releases, and then they did the next day 11th of August or August 11th or whatever the way they did it.
Yeah,
and that was like the day before. It sort of teased that it was coming out, but I thought it was like the Menander update is going to be releasing this date in like next week. I didn't expect it to be like the next day. I
wonder if they wanted to hurry it out before CK3.
I don't know if that's the case. Because, I mean, there's still plenty of time, isn't there?
3 weeks.
Oh, God, no, there's not plenty of... Oh, wow.
There's not a lot of time. Yeah, so I've played a little bit of Menander. Have you guys had a chance to check it out much yet? I know I saw Lambert playing it on Steam.
I've played about 5 hours or so.
Okay, yeah, that's roughly the same amount. Who did you play as, out of curiosity?
Epirus.
Okay,
I want to try out the new missions and stuff for them, which I think is probably my favorite set of unique missions so far. They're like every time that they add new missions, they just get more interesting. Like the early missions were a little bit, maybe like they hadn't got a massive amount of experience on how to utilize the mission system, but now they've done more and more of them. They're doing more interesting things with them. So one of my favorite parts of it was, as I was Epirus, I had a mission to sort of befriend some of the Italia city-states in Italy. And if they said yes, then I would immediately be drawn into a war with Rome. And I was like, oh, but I'm not ready for this yet. I guess I'm going to go to war with Rome, though. And that led to a multiple episode struggle against Rome, which I'm not going to spoil the outcome of. But it's a lot of fun.
What do you think about the new culture stuff? Because I'm honestly having a hard time wrapping my mind around it. Like, there's all these new buttons, and I can kind of understand what they are for, but then it's like I don't feel like I have a clear idea of like when I would want to use them, like especially with the special privileges. Obviously I haven't played that long yet, but like it like so far it kind of feels to me like I haven't really gotten my head around this new culture system. Like I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to be thinking about it.
What I've done so far is to make the bigger cultures integrated. So anyone that's like outnumbering the amount of efforts that I have, I'll integrate. I'll try and only do maybe one per culture group, generally the biggest one. So Macedonian, they're generally going to be the one that I integrate from the Greek culture group, Roman from the Italic one. I tend to maybe not integrate more than a couple. I mean, I've only played 5 hours. I'm mostly just theory crafting what I will do. But I think you're not going to want too many integrations, and the rest is going to be just trying to manage happiness, trying to manage the privileges that you give them to make them happier. And yeah, you get a little bit of a stab hit from giving privileges out, but that's temporary compared to the permanent privilege happiness that you're getting. So I think it's a lot more interesting, and I think it's just going to take me a little while to fully wrap my head around what I want to do in each situation before it comes like natural to me.
Yeah, that's part of the thing that I was like, okay, I need to play with this a lot longer before I can actually make any sort of a judgment call on it, because, you know, grand strategy games kind of by their nature are like, you're probably not going to get what you're supposed to do with it right away. But yeah, I'm wondering like if this is going to be something where, am I always going to be thinking about this, or am I only going to be thinking about it if a province is about to revolt? Like giving out these privileges, you know, they have advantages and disadvantages, but there's so many, I guess there's like so many values feeding into each other at this point that it kind of feels like a little bit micromanaging. I don't know. Johan, are you still working on Imperator at all, or have you mostly moved on from that?
I've not been working on Imperator since October, November last year. Got
it. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's a situation where, yeah, there's all these new buttons. I'm not quite sure when I would use them other than to prevent a revolt, and I am looking forward to like diving into it more and figuring out like, okay, what is this system about? How should I be thinking about this system? Like that's honestly something I would love to see like a developer video on, is not just introducing the mechanics, but like what, like when you guys are playing this internally, how do you interact with these systems? Because it's not quite intuitive to me yet.
It's something that I've been thinking about. I want to do some more kind of like tutorial kind of videos.
Yeah,
I want to understand everything like first before I do stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, we've had the patch for like a day, so it's like, I'll give it some time. But I should try out Epirus. Epirus has always been kind of a fun, interestingly positioned nation in this start date. And I haven't played them since like way back, like 1.1 or something like that. So
been a while for me as well. It's good to return to Paris. He's a fun character.
Yeah, like having a foot in the Hellenistic world, but also facing Italy and Gaul more, and you know, Illyria more so, is sort of an interesting place to be in, for sure.
As well, he is the most realistic heir to Alexander, being his second cousin. So
there you go. Yeah.
So if you want to play someone who's related to Alexander, you want to play as Pyrrhus. Although in this patch, you actually get an event very early on where you can choose to sack Pyrrhus off and instead go with Neoptolemus, who's got the new bloodline that Pyrrhus has, the Icadae, and he also has the blood of the Argeads. So if you want two bloodlines from the very start, I mean, your only options are Macedon and now Epirus as well. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm also interested to check out the new like Senate stuff, particularly for Rome, because Troy Goodfellow has been saying it's very good with the new factions and things. So
yeah, I haven't yet checked out the Senate mechanics. I've just been trying to work on my Epirus campaign for now. But definitely I might check it out with Athens and try and go for the Pentacontea achievement with it.
I've played for maybe like a few hours, and I played Tibet and experienced absolutely none of the new content.
There's Tibet. We're 24 minutes in, folks.
Yeah. Someday.
A quick question.
Someday we'll get
Someone, Prigoli in chat is asking, what is Imperator about? How would you, or even Johan himself, describe the game in one sentence?
One sentence. I would say recreate Alexander's empire.
Okay. Yeah, I did like the way Peter described it as like it's sort of the way he's taking it is like it's a map painter, but it's also about painting the map internally, not just externally. I liked that description he gave of it a lot. He's the current game director, I believe is his title.
I would say it's social engineering with a Roman theme.
There is a lot of social engineering, especially with the Menander patch. Yeah.
I would say less about Alexander's empire, because that's just one route you can go. I'd say it's just an empire builder. So it's got the map painting part of it, but empire is more than just about, big borders. That encompass, painting the internals of your empire to be, if you want, culturally diverse, because that's totally a thing that you can do now. Religiously diverse, because that's something you can do now.
Yeah.
You can also
I'd say it's an empire builder. That goes without saying, of course. You make someone called Lambertos, and then you make him a god. This is just what we do here.
Ray, if someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes. Yeah, no, I also think it's a better war game than EU4, honestly. That's one of the big things that I like about it is the tactical granularity. And, since they added supply trains, I feel like I have to think through my wars more instead of just marching around with a wrecking ball doom stack. And that's honestly one of my favorite things about Imperator overall is it's a good ancient era war game. So
it's got a lot of cues from, I don't know if this was an inspiration, Johan, but like March of the Eagles seems to be, the combat feels quite a lot similar in a good way.
Because March of the Eagles has a lot of the best combat things we've done in games.
It does.
So it's been a little bit of an inspiration there. But when it comes to the food and stuff, a lot of those ideas were from Arheo. But the supply lines and stuff for the armies and how that worked, they were more like things I took from his ideas of food for other things and a little bit March of the Eagles. Because we wanted to solve the thing where you basically just march your armies about everywhere, and also the aspect of you can never lose a siege. And I think Imperator solves that one quite nicely because you can actually run out of food while offensive.
Food aspect definitely changed the game quite a bit from what it was in 1.0.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
I think when it first came out, it did introduce its own problems because when you didn't take any, you basically took no attrition anymore. It was rare to run out of food, so you had so much more manpower than you ever had before. And as the player, you were better at it as well than the AI. So generally, you're coming to late game, you just had effectively infinite manpower. The amount of manpower has been reduced quite a lot since then, which has helped a bit. Well, it's helped a lot. But I still think some kind of attrition, like when you go through a desert, when you go over mountains, I think that kind of like, you've got food, I don't care, people are still going to die. I think that kind of may need to come in.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Menander or on the patch notes before we move on to other stuff?
Yeah, the trade rework.
Warmer.
Oh,
the trade rework is a huge step forward. I really, really like what they've done with trade. I think I remember many dev diaries ago when they first announced that trade was getting an overhaul. I was surprised because I thought, if you're going to do trade, it's going to need a, how we've got the autumn of culture. Is it the autumn of culture or the fall of culture? What are we calling this anyway? I can't remember. But I thought it was going to be like we'd need a winter of trade. I thought it was going to need that kind of thing. But then in one of the dev diaries, I believe he said that this isn't like the final version of trade. Like it's gonna have more done to it later on down the line. So I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah.
But right now, what they've got is it's a I think a big improvement. I like that trade goods now have their own values. So you're not like, oh, I want your dates, and oh, this is worth just as much as gemstones. Yeah, sure, okay. I think that's improved a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I haven't even messed around with nobles yet. Like, I still need to figure out what they're actually for. How many of them do I want? Do I want them at all? Yeah, so that'll be interesting to play around with. So,
also, the buildings have changed as well. Obviously, because now libraries and academies are both like geared towards nobles. The courthouse is now geared towards citizens. The marketplace is now useful, which is really good for me because, I mean, my most popular video that I've ever made was basically saying that I think Imperator has a problem with mega cities and making cities that are like ahistorically large, let's say. And this patch has gone a long way to addressing quite a few of the problems that I had. I still think it needs fires, diseases, and flooding. Though those would also help me quite a bit.
Especially with the weather system that's on there, it would make a lot of sense to have hurricanes with flooding coming through.
Yeah.
You could add a bit of the mythological stuff as well. The Greeks, they loved their minotaurs, and none of this truth behind the myth shit. Let's just go with like the myth shit.
Throwing some shade. Shade.
Wow.
I mean,
yeah,
I've played Troy now, and I stand by what I still stand by that. It's
all right.
But yeah, I think having like cyclones and whirlpools and that kind of thing, I think that really spiced it up quite a bit.
Cyclones, whirlpools, this weather. There's lots of nice warm weather down in the Indian Ocean. I think we have some good stuff to talk about with the Malaysia today.
We do. So we got another EU4 dev diary on the upcoming Southeast Asia update. So I'm curious, Johan, Tinto, Paradox Tinto, which is the new studio, in the announcement, it said that it was being founded to work on the Europa Universalis franchise. How much of the work on like this patch is being done by you guys, and how much is being done by Stockholm?
Currently, we're still hiring people, and we don't have any people actually working at the Tinto yet. So it's the stuff that's been done already is done by what's his name? Daniel, I don't remember his firm, like Neon DT, I think.
Yeah.
So he's the one that's been working on it. And when we have a team in the autumn at Tinto, we'll start working on that one.
Okay, cool. So this is all still being done by the the team that has been working on EU4 previously.
Yeah, team and team. It's like two people, he and Grogu.
Got it. Yeah. So we got to look at Malacca, Brunei, and I don't know how to pronounce ACEH. Is it Aceh? I don't know. Maybe somebody in chat knows.
Say with enough confidence and they'll be correct. That's no problem.
Aceh. I'll say Aceh until somebody corrects me. Yeah. Once again, we're getting a lot of subjugation missions. I also like that they've kind of color coded and broken this down into like, okay, there's a couple columns of unique missions. There's a couple that are common to the region. There's one that's like specifically for if you form Malaya, which everybody who forms Malaya gets. I like that structure. Was there anything especially cool you guys noticed about this dev diary?
I like Malaya. I hope the flag has changed when you form the whole thing.
It's incredibly powerful multiplayer. That's the thing about Malaya.
Yeah.
I thought you were going in a different direction there. I thought you were going to say that the flag is powerfully awful. I really don't like it.
But it's not the British Rebellion flag?
No, that one's worse. No, that Revolutionary Britain is worse. because one, the flag is worse, and two, the implications of what that flag means is just
it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
No.
It doesn't make quite much sense.
Oh, not the fact that it's suffragette flag, just the fact that Britain went revolutionary is disgusting.
Oh.
Yeah. You know that Lambert is an Anglophile? Is that the correct word? He loves England above all. And yet he lives in Finland.
I wouldn't say above all. I wouldn't say above all, but I mean...
Yeah. No, I mean, all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others, particularly the English ones. We get it. So they're going to be getting a lot of subjugation CBs, which we've seen is kind of a theme for the region. I might have already said that. There's also some interesting stuff with Champa can make friends with a Sunni state in maritime Southeast Asia to convert to Sunni. They're also doing these kind of like interesting, not normally what you would do in EU4 in a normal game sort of missions, like this show of force, which you have to have a superior army to these two missions. It kind of reminds me of the one where you had to blockade the whole coast of China. I can't remember who gets that. And like developing centers of trade and like a lot of stuff we haven't really seen in missions before for other countries, which I think is cool.
Yeah. My concerns are still outstanding about the lack of European adventures. And now none of these missions really have anything to do with Europeans. I'd like to see stuff with a Dutch and a Portuguese. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Getting rid of the expel Europe. Well, no, there's the expel Europeans mission there in purple.
Yeah, but you want them. I don't know. I want the gameplay to encourage European expansion into.
Yeah, and what if the Europeans never arrive because of something that you only figure out what happened, after you unlock the entire map?
It's like, oh, okay, Austria
integrated Portugal.
Yeah.
Austria got a PU over Portugal, and then they conquered Spain. And, the Dutch never formed because France ate them.
Yeah. Dutch revolt failed. Yeah. They're also getting some new estate privileges, which I've said before. I'm all for new, unique estate privileges for specific nations.
Just keep adding them in. I mean, I'm more of a just keep adding them.
Yeah, no, it's a great kind of way where you get more flavor and are able to customize your nation in a way that really asserts what your role in history at that time was, but it's also always a trade-off, like an estate privilege versus like a national idea or something. There's usually something negative that comes along with it, even if it's just like reduced absolutism. So I like that type of thing a lot.
I do quite like how these mission trees encourage a bit more historical play, though. I think that's the biggest thing I like about these new mission systems is that you get Spain and you want to annex the Low Countries. In a normal game of EU4, that was not really a goal until the missions came along. And the more the missions encourage, a bit more historical context. I enjoy that.
I for that one specifically, I don't think it really makes a massive amount of sense because Spain did kind of control the Low Countries, but they did it in a way that the mission systems do not emulate at all. Because that was all about the Habsburgs putting a Habsburg on the Spanish throne after they'd already inherited the Low Countries after Charles the Bold had died. And then when, that was split, Spain got the Low Countries and Austria didn't.
There is an event that does that, though. I think if you have a royal marriage with Austria and the Austria is an AI, and I think if you both rival France, there's an event where you inherit the Low Countries from Austria, which is pretty powerful.
See, that way I'm okay with, but I'm pretty sure there's some that just gives you claims, which I'm not totally familiar.
I think you get claims of the country once you own Naples, Two Sicilies.
Might be so.
And then you invade the Low Countries, thus making it Three Sicilies. And
there you
go. just Sicily plus. Just add more Sicilies.
We've already discussed this. The Legion of 100 Sicilies needs to be a formable tag. Yeah.
But
Johan, have you played any of this patch yet? And do you have a favorite nation in Southeast Asia?
I don't want to pick favorites.
Okay, fair enough.
They're all my favorite.
Johan, we had a question from chat earlier, and it may not be picking favorites, but what's of all the PDX games you've worked on, what has been your favorite time period that game's taken place in? Not your favorite game.
That's a good question. It used to be World War II, but then I made Hotshine free, and I never want to touch that time period again. The community was awful at that release. So I would probably say the EU era. That's the one we started with, and the one I like the most. It might be because that covers the part where Sweden were actually relevant, and it ties into some nostalgic history from when I was a kid.
So they're pretty relevant in 867 with the Sons of Ragnar too.
Yeah,
I would say so.
And there was some pretty good Arctic explorers in the Victorian era, to be fair. For all two, but the Norwegians really had everyone pinned on that one, sadly.
Speaking of the Victoria era, though, let's maybe move to our main topic of conversation.
Yeah, so we're not picking favorites here, but everybody's favorite Paradox game, Victoria 2. Yeah. The 10th anniversary just passed, and Johan, you actually wrote a kind of a retrospective on the development of it. But for people who haven't read that yet, what does Victoria 2 represent for Paradox? Maybe what did it do that, hasn't maybe been done since? Why is it important? Why is Victoria 3 still such a meme? What is Victoria 2 about, and why was it important to the company, I guess is sort of the thrust of the question.
Important to the company? I don't really know. I think Victoria 2 was the last of a game back when we did computer games in a special way. We used to be a small studio, averaging 7 to 10 people, mostly around 8 people, releasing one game every year. Also making 1 or 2 expansions at the same time with that group. And Victoria 2 was the last game we made that was done in such a short time. After that, we did Crusader Kings 2. Then everything changed with the new business model and everything. Mm-hmm. But Victoria 2 was also a game about a lot of it was a simulation. Because if you're looking at the 4 big ones, as I view it, that define the different games we did, we had Hearts of Iron. It was a lot of was always the war game with counters and supply lines and diving down into super detailed grognard things. Then we had Victoria, which was the economical political simulation. Crusader Kings was one, and then EU4 was another. So those were the 4 pillars we built everything on. And Victoria, we haven't really done anything different or similar to Victoria since then, because Crusader Kings took off dramatically compared to Victoria, and so did EU4. And EU4 was, it's super popular, probably the most played games we've ever made, and people still play that game. And it's a really, really good, great strategy game, very, very much about balance and anti-snowball and all these semi-board gamey, but still deep. But it's not a simulation. Mm-hmm. And we've not done any simulation games since Victoria 2.
No, it's true. And it's unique. Like you said, the different Paradox games focus on different things, right? With Crusader Kings is far more interpersonal, and that's fine, as you said, as for wargaming. But Victoria is, I think, unique, maybe apart from Stellaris, where the focus, I think, is mainly on internal politics for social changes that happened in the time period.
Well, I can say, there's a lot of reasons I love Victoria 2. One of the biggest reasons is I think it's probably the only strategy game that has ever had such a kind of accurate focus on the will of the people and like reaction and counter reaction. Like if you try to go really, really capitalist, you're going to end up making your people more socialist. If you try to go really, really socialist, you're going to end up making your people more libertarian, which I think, you know, is fairly accurate, at least once people get educated, which in Victoria 2 is represented by the consciousness system, which I also love.
I always pinned consciousness down as sort of class consciousness.
Kind of, yeah. But also like literacy affects consciousness a lot. You know, when people can actually read, I mean, that's kind of part of why the Protestant Reformation happened, is a lot of people are like, wait, all these things they've been telling us in the Bible is not actually what it says in the Bible. And I like that a lot because, I mean, kind of on a fundamental level, people don't like being governed. And whatever kind of, I mean, I think Johan and I have talked about this over beers, whatever kind of government you live under, you're going to end up hating it because people don't like being governed. Like that's kind of the, you know, something that I think Victoria 2 models very well is, you know, there's always going to be a counterculture. If you let it go too far, that counterculture can turn into like a revolution or a counter-revolution. That's sort of the heart of Victoria 2 to me, and why I still love that game and think it's very special, even though mechanics-wise and interface, especially interface-wise, it doesn't really hold up to the newer ones.
I was when we were talking about this, like political thing. I was just thinking about it because we have all this like political reforms, and you also have the social reforms. And since you can build every different type of country in Victoria and you can make it semi-successful, you can create, you know, I don't know how many people are aware of what Bismarck did in the 19th century or late 19th century, how he built up Germany, was introducing all of these social reforms just to make the country more stable, because people are not going to get upset if they don't have, I mean, now I'm sounding a little bit cynical, but you can mitigate a lot of political unrest for having no social liberties, etc., if you're having social security.
Yeah, I think that's especially when you're playing a nation such as Russia, right? So Russia's really interesting, Vicky, I think, because it's quite a backward country at the start of the game. It's very de-industrialized, and your people demand social reforms, but also you've got a very strong ruling elite. There's not many people with a lot of education. But really, the way to survive as Russia is you really do need to reform quite quickly, in my experience, right? But you sort of get a pushback. There's far more reactionaries and far more socialists, quite radical socialists in Russia that form towards the late game, and that's just because the natural reforms that happen in the country. And it's not through events either. You don't really get events in Victoria that like make Russia far more polarized. It's just something that naturally develops within the game, which I think is really interesting in Vicky.
Yeah, it's most of the stuff is done for code with all these systems like hooking together and looking at the various things and simple scripts that evaluate everything.
What I like as well is it's more than any other Paradox game. I think Vicky encapsulates the decline of an empire better than any other. I mean, the Ottomans are the big example. They're the sick man of Europe at this time, and the game really does do a good job of showing that. If you're playing as the Ottomans, you can turn it around, but it's a struggle. It legitimately is a struggle. There's no quick, easy fix. There's no, if I win this war, then I'll turn everything around. Or if I pass this one event or reform, I'll turn it all around. It is legitimately a struggle to turn around your fortunes. And you start so big. It's really very unique in that it shows the decline of a once giant is really interesting.
And I think that's a lot of outside forces too, because the gameplay encourages quite ravenous colonialism from the great powers, right?
Because you want to access the goods. But it's also one of the things that we really try to do is like early in the game, we wanted to okay, if we're going to simulate like communism and fascism and social democracy and all of those constitutional monarchies, they should all be viable strategies to play, and they should all feel different. And it's like, that's why you have, only when you're like a super state capitalist, you can only do whatever you want with all your factory building. But obviously central planning in a huge country like Russia is super inefficient, because you have to do everything manually yourself.
Like a lot of stuff to do.
So how do you think you would tackle that challenge today? Like if you were going to do a game based in this era where you wanted communism, state controlled industry to be as viable as just let the capitalists do whatever they want. Like how would you fix that issue where it was like everybody just wants to go capitalist because I don't want to figure out what factories I need to build in all of these states?
That's why capitalism is the choice for the easy people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I always went state capitalist, so that the capitalists will build stuff, but I can also build stuff. Yeah, I can delete your stuff if I think my stuff is better than your stuff.
Yeah, I think I do the same. And then later on, I think once your economy is a bit more developed, go liberal, because you get that lovely bonus if you go laissez-faire.
Well, like I've thought about in the past, like maybe you could have like some sort of a system where instead of capitalists, you'd have bureaucrats, and then you give the bureaucrats a focus, and then they decide what to build based on the focus you gave them instead of micromanaging. Yeah.
It would just be inefficient, and they will just hire more bureaucrats.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Yeah.
To meet the needs of the expanding bureaucracy.
Yeah. And then you have a reform to consolidate the bureaucracy into a single system. We could call it, we can give it a fancy acronym, something like UBI or something like that. And it vastly reduce your costs on bureaucracy, and then everyone else is happier as well. And it works great.
No, I think that sounds reactionary. I'm just going to purge the bureaucracy and start over. Yeah.
Your way of reform sounds reactionary. I'll just purge instead. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Okay. Just purge everything. I see what type of government you form.
I thought I was the bloody 40k fan here. Oh god.
So, Johan, why do you think this game is such a fan favorite with people?
Because we've not made a sequel in 10 years.
Yeah. Okay. But we've the people have been asking for a sequel for this game for longer.
Since like CK2 came out.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one because it is a fan favorite, but it's a very cult game because I don't think it hasn't performed sales wise as well as a lot of other Paradox games.
I think a lot
classic is really
I think that's the key thing. It's more like it was the last in an old era where you can't really judge to the new one, where we have constant releases and updates and so on. So you can't like judge play numbers and those things. So I think it's totally wrong to claim that it's a niche or a small cult or whatever.
That's definitely suffers from the same UI issues that you see in like the original Crusader Kings. I think I have about 7 hours in Vicky 2. I loaded it up, tried to figure out the UI, and then eventually closed it down and never have opened it up again. And I've got hundreds of hours in the other Paradox games, or 2,000 hours in CK2.
Most of my playtime has been copying say I've got two screens open. I have a YouTube video of someone playing the game, and I'll be copying them, trying to learn the mechanics. That's how I learn all Paradox games. And then trying to apply that to another country. It's like, I'll try this country now. And it's like, I'm lost. I don't know. The countries are so different. I don't know what I'm doing. Is certainly a UI feature. Is why it's not got the player base as it should.
Can I discuss another thing there? I saw a comment. Someone doing the old myth of, is it true that the whole economy system was coded almost overnight by someone who no longer remember what's there? That's not really true, not true at all, because the world market and economy system was done by 2.5 programmers spending half their work time on it, and all of them except one is still at the company. It's Podcat, famous for doing Heartshine 4, coded the bulk of that programming, and he knows that economy inside out. Yes, King wrote the design. Besukhov coded a lot on it, and Tegus optimized it. But Podcat knows it and claiming that, the reason why we're not doing a wiki free is because nobody understands the economy system. Yeah, that's a lie. That's completely.
I don't even remember where that rumor got started, but it spread around a lot.
You know what? I think it's Podcat doing it himself. He wants to just claim that.
No one can do this. No one at all. Don't make me go back into that economy.
And it's just so funny whenever when we hire new people like Wiz when he started, and Grugi and other programmers, they've been playing Victoria 2 and I go like, yeah, no, there's a bugs in the economy system. I was going to fix the one in Victoria 2. And I'm like, a few days later, they're like jaded, cynical, old.
To work next day with like 5 o'clock shadow and like a huge build.
It's like World War I shell shock just from looking at the code. Well,
and then it turns out you hire the equivalent of Tony Stark, and he's like, "Oh, I've done it," and you're like, "Okay, now we're making Victoria 3 because we have somebody who can do it."
That is not a major problem with the world market code, etc. There's just some small numbers that sometimes get lost because of rounding errors due to computers, the bit, what do we call the decimal numbers, etc. So
yeah,
there's they get lost in industrialized China.
TJ, were you ever visiting the Stockholm office at Paradox? When we had the big office where we had the code on the walls?
I think so. I've been to 3 Paradox offices at this point. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw. I've been to the 3 most recent offices.
We moved last autumn, but the one before that we were spending like 4 years. In the main room, there's like flags, etc. on it. But on the walls, there's code, and there's code from Victoria 2, where basically when the world market code is losing money because it's rounding errors losing it, we inject more money into the system, and it's called like random magic Banzai code. So the actual code that inserts money in the world market was printed on the walls at various places.
Nice.
That's why we're joking.
Well, magic money being printed into the code, is that not just what central banks do? Is that not what the Federal Reserve is all about?
Yeah. So you mentioned, Johan, that obviously it was a much smaller team back when you were working on Victoria 2. What are the advantages of that style of development versus what is going on now, and like what are the disadvantages? Because I'm sure it's not like, oh, this is better and this is worse.
Me personally, I prefer working in a small team because I find it more to the style I like to make games. Also, you get a much higher velocity when you're like 7-8 people. Everyone talks with each other. You don't have anyone else to talk with, etc. You don't need to have lots of different meetings. So you get stuff done quicker. And if you're looking at the Victoria 2 team, we were like, a lot of them had done games for a few years, and average experience level was pretty high then. A lot of us had worked on multi-games. Like Besukhov, me, and Podcat, we've done E-Rome and Heartshine 3 together. And then we were doing Victoria 2 together with a new programmer joining us in Tegus. And me and Besukhov before Heartshine and E-Rome, we've done EU3 and Diplomacy and Heartshine 2 together. So
I suppose it's also quite like a lot of businesses, right? Where small businesses, there's no corporate bureaucracy or anything, and everything's done face to face on sort of verbal agreements and stuff. And when you expand, I guess there's a lot more forms, a bit more bureaucracy and stuff.
Yeah, but also like you need more managers when you grow bigger. You need to sync things, and also these days we sell the game on so many platforms. You need to do those things there, all this marketing, all this communication. There's so much more communication required when you're a bigger company.
Yeah,
and also not to compare, like when we're doing games like Victoria 2, making the map was trivial. But if you're looking at when you're making a map mod these days, the amount of work you need to do to make new textures, painting the map, even with the tools, just takes so much more time.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I guess Victoria just had a sort of 2D map, right? It's quite stylized in a way.
Yes.
Yeah. The level of detail in the Imperator map and in the CK3 map both are really impressive.
Yeah.
Speaking of detail in map, there's an interesting question in chat from Prigoli again. Have there ever been any plans or discussions to re-release the older titles with a remastered map, such as like Vicky 2?
We talked about doing those things a lot of times a few years back, but it was not something we wanted or could do.
We had an episode where we were joking. The episode title was March of the Eagles Remastered, because we were joking about that exact thing. Yeah. You guys
that game with the shit.
Yeah. Get 3 to 5 people together for multiplayer and play some March of the Eagles. I've said it before, but it's a really good multiplayer war game.
It's very good.
It still holds up as a multiplayer war game to this day.
I'm a big advocate for 2D maps, but I have to admit about March of the Eagles, not the prettiest map. Sengoku, however, my goodness, that's a nice 2D map.
It is nice map. It's a very small map.
Yeah.
The 3D map, you can rotate it and everything.
Oh.
Really?
No, you're right, actually. Yeah, come to think of it. Yeah, I mean, it had like a sort of,
Imperator sort of always points north, and no matter where you're at.
Imperator's got that's curving, though, where you zoom out, curved globe.
I don't think it is actually curved, though. I think it's just a camera trick, right? Like the Imperator map? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a camera trick.
Yeah.
It's a good trick. It fooled me.
Yeah.
It fooled like everybody at the first preview of it.
Well, the secret is the globe is really a camera trick. That's the secret, and that's what you need to know about.
Yeah. The Earth is actually flat, and when you go into space, that's actually just a camera trick that the developers put in. Yeah.
The world is flat.
Yeah. So confirm, Paradox it believes in flat Earth. No.
No, we believe in a cylindrical Earth because that's far.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
There's one thing I actually want to bring up as well. Sort of ties into both, cylindrical maps and 3D maps, and also Victoria at the same time. There is a mod being developed for Imperator to Victoria 2 in Imperator. As
I saw that.
Basically the goal of it. I've given us a map of it in our chat if you want to pull that up.
Sure.
And basically they're basically trying to put Victoria into Imperator, which is really going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to giving it a try. They plan on using the civilization mode, the civilization value in Imperator as a sort of way to emulate industrialization instead.
Fantastic.
So that's something I'm super looking forward to. The one issue that they have though is Imperator's map isn't a cylinder, and so you can't actually go all the way around the world. They are doing something where they'll have you can sail around the world, but you won't be able to just keep moving the map left forever.
Yeah, I guess you can just save it like the provinces on one side of a map are adjacent to the ones on the other side of a map, right? And then
I think so.
Wow. Like they even added the Americas in there? That's crazy. Yeah.
So that's just in development right now. That's the only image I've got for you.
That's a hell. I mean, I just love the time period. It's my favorite. I mean, I would say that. I mean, like it's all coal and steam, and I've got cultural affinity for that. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
It's also the most interesting time in Asia, like the Meiji Restoration, the Boxer Rebellion. 100 years of humiliation, and finally the Republic, China being proclaimed. It's amazing. It's a wonderful time period.
Yeah, you got the Heavenly Kingdom. The was that the Anlushan Rebellion? Is that what I'm thinking of? No. What is the
Taifang Rebellion? I think it's
Taifang. Anlushan was way earlier. Yeah.
There's a bug with that map, though. I see two bugs in that map we're looking at.
Yeah.
First of all, there's a Norway there.
No, but it is coloured in Sweden's colours because it's a subsidiary of them.
But Prussia is blue.
Yeah, no, I actually totally agree with that. I really quite prefer the Prussian grey in EU4. If you bring up yellow Prussia, you're off the podcast.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree.
Well,
I think Prussia is better for grey because there's so many countries that are blue that it's always because if you're fighting France or Sweden, it's like hard to see the difference sometimes.
Yeah, that's not the reason I prefer grey. I just think it's a nicer colour. And it's the reason that I don't form Germany, because I don't like the color of Germany. Okay, I'll stay as Prussia, thanks.
Yeah.
You could edit and just say, we can edit what you say and we can have a quote where you're saying that I just don't like Germany.
Yes.
I mean,
Clip it, folks. Confirmed. Lambert does not like Germany, along with Ireland.
I mean, that's on brand.
and France.
And France, yeah.
So he's okay.
I'm not an Anglophile. I'm a Finnophile, and I'm English. That doesn't hate my country. So
Finland owning England.
You're not very English.
Cool.
Yeah,
I love my adopted country. It's fine.
Yeah. No, Finland's gorgeous. Fair play to Finland.
Well, and you live in the Swedish speaking part of Finland, so you're basically a Swede, right?
Nay. It's great though because Swedish much easier to learn than Finnish by several orders of magnitude.
Oh yeah. I mean, at least for an English speaker, certainly.
Yeah. I'd say for everyone that isn't Estonian or Hungarian, Swedish would be easier.
That's another thing about Wiki too, which I quite like. Thinking of map colors is when you change your government. For a lot of countries, you change your map color, which I really appreciate personally.
And your flag.
And your flag. Yeah. Oh yes! Oh my goodness! The amount of flags.
The amount of flags. Yeah, that's a good point.
It was so much fun to design, like the fascist flag, the democratic flag, the default flag, the communist flag, etc. It's especially for Sweden. Like if you're looking at it, you have like the hammer and sickles for when you're communist, and you have the Vasakärven, which is basically the, how do you put it? It's not the fascist, but it's kind of like if you're looking at the Swedish national symbol, you have it's similar to it. So we use that for the fascists, etc.
For Sweden, I've got a list. I've got an Imgur link here with all of the flags in Victoria too. There's a lot. There's a hell of a lot of them. Swedish fascist flag. Where are they? I'm looking for it now.
There is actually some. I wouldn't say controversy, because it's fucking Wales. But like, in our opinions, don't matter for bollocks. But I think there's a few that's. So there's a symbol in Wales called the White Eagle of Snowdonia, and anyone looking at it could obviously know that it's a far right fascist symbol, which it is. But there's a lot of Welsh nationalists that are sure that it is a sort of a good symbol, I guess, sort of like about liberation and all good things and all that stuff. But my goodness, and it is used on a lot of fascist flags in Victoria too. So
is it like the X with the angles on the top and the line down the center?
That's the one. Yeah.
You know, that's in Victoria. Because literally I've got a Imgur link of all of the flags.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is.
How
much art time did it take to make all of those flags?
I really don't know. It's like we had one 2D artist and one 3D artist, and we worked from like September to June. So everything. So
wow.
I don't think it took that long of a time to make most of them.
I mean, it's I certainly, whenever I play a country, first thing I do is go into the files and find out what my flag's going to look like, depending on what nation I am, and it does dictate how good my flag is.
The Welsh one almost looks like a bind rune.
Yeah, I mean it is. It's an obviously fascist symbol, but like
interesting. Yeah, I mean,
I'm now going to find the Finnish flags and see which one's the best.
I like the CSA communist.
I just like the idea of it.
I like the United States monarchist one. That's my favorite one. And I don't know if you ever tried to do that. It's very difficult, but it is possible to make the US a monarchy, and you get a glorious flag when you do it.
Oh, I've never done that before. I've done that in EU4, but I've never done it in Vicky 2, actually.
It's tough. You have to go through, you have to get a dictatorship, then turn that dictatorship into a constitutional monarchy, and then you switch back, I believe, to an absolute monarchy from a constitutional, and then you get the flag.
Interesting.
CSA communist flag it looks a lot like Austria's, the white in the center with the red bars on top. And then in the top left is like a star with a laurel wreath around it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So the USA monarchist one is like, it looks like the presidential eagle seal, but he's holding a spear and a sword.
Yep.
And no olive branch.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a good one. I also love that for some reason Cyprus's or fascist flag just says K in the middle. Like,
are we going to be fascist now? Yeah.
K. Yeah.
Well, there's a whole very interesting thing about like heraldry in Soviet art and stuff, which I think the flags in Victoria too certainly play into that really, really well. It's all grains. And stuff. It's almost monarchist, the heraldry. But I like with grains and tractors and stuff.
I like the Greenland fascist flag. It's just a blue flag with a bear on it.
So Johan, I know obviously you can't talk about future projects that haven't been announced yet, but with this new studio opening up in Tinto, do you think you might be getting back a little bit more to like a Victoria 2 style of development?
I don't really know. I'm never going to make a sequel to Victoria.
I mean, not necessarily that you're going to make a new Victoria game, but when you're talking about these like smaller, more agile teams, is that something you were aiming for?
Yeah, I want to work with a smaller, more agile team, having like maybe like I was aiming to have a studio around 20 people, maybe like one working expansions, one working on new games, teams with like 10 to 15 people in total. Not super huge work, because I want to make these games, and I want to make games in a way that I like making games. So, and I like working in a smaller teams, more agile, more things. And if I'm looking like the first decade at Paradox, I made a game every year. Victoria 2 was the last one there. At Victoria 2, I was the project lead, I was the studio manager, I was the producer, I was the programmer, I was the game director, everything. And then since then, I've basically been doing 2 games full time and a lot of time on Hearthstone 4. At like E4, I was game director and programmer, while Thomas did a lot of other things, and I was studio manager. And then I didn't do anything. I did some project lead trying to save Hearthstone 4 because it was super delayed. But actually, tomorrow it's 7 years since. Remember, August 13 is the most holy day of ever in Paradox. Whatever we call it, because August 13, 2013 released EU4. August 13, 2010 released Victoria 2. So August 13 is the best day ever, right, guys?
I'm partial to February 14th when CK2 came out, but that's just me.
Yeah. Well, I kind of like February 15th, but I like February 13th, the day before, far more, because my daughter was born the day before CK2 got released. And I remember sitting at, emergency, whatever, with my wife, and they go like, we're going to have a cesarean emergency one in 3 hours, 5 weeks early. And I'm basically sending an email at 3 a.m. to Thomas Besukhov like, you have to take care of everything and make sure we can launch CK2. I'm not going to be around for a few weeks.
5 weeks early. That's, as someone who just gave birth 3 months ago, that's wow.
We were for 3.5 weeks at neonatal because she was premature and neonatal with hypoglycemia, which is low blood sugar, etc. She was like below 2 kilos. Luckily, I live in a civilized country, so it cost us fuck all money. So
Yes.
Yeah, that would be very, very expensive over here.
Depending on your insurance, TJ.
Yeah. I mean, we also still pay more in insurance than Europeans pay in taxes, but this isn't
my son is 4 years old now, and he was the opposite of premature. He was late.
Yeah.
Is there a funky word for it? Yeah, he was just late for about 3 weeks. Post-term, yeah.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to worry about that.
3 weeks.
But he was born in Finland, another civilized country.
Oh, see, here at least in the States, they don't want you to go more than 2 weeks past your due date, because after that,
it might not have been 3 weeks. I'd have to do the math. It's like I don't remember.
Because I know when it was
like 2.5 weeks.
Late,
maybe.
They started talking about scheduling. Because
Rabid Bogling in chat is saying that they believe it's called old baby syndrome. I believe that's the technical term.
It came out with wrinkles.
You got a delayed release kid. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a delayed kid is better than one that you release early.
Yeah,
it's patches.
You gotta fix all the critical bugs before you let the kid come out. Yeah, or else
DLC comes along and fucking
people are just gonna be on the forums complaining about your new baby. Yeah,
he was a little overcooked. No.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't overcooked. He was just right. I mean. It depends on how you like your steak, really.
Yeah.
What, are you getting the cannibal trait now?
I mean, I am an atheist and we do eat babies. So,
yeah,
apparently.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't even remember what we were talking about before we went to
I don't either.
I think we're talking about August
what your favorite
13th.
date? Yeah.
August 15th is a great day because it's the Holy Paradox Day due to EU4 and Victoria 2 being released that day.
Yeah,
that is a holy day indeed.
Pretty close to CK3. Almost hit that. It's only a couple weeks off.
September 1st.
Yeah. I'm not excited about that at all. Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome.
Oh, yawn.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah. Same.
Well, yeah, before we wrap up for the day, Johan, are you guys encouraging people to apply still for the Tinto Studio, or if people want to get involved in that, is there any way that they can potentially do that?
Well, I'm pretty sure that most positions are very close to being filled right now, but we're going to pay more people in a few months. So, but unless you have a EU work permit, don't bother.
Got it.
That's brutal. Yeah, I mean, yeah, when you have like a few hundred applicants for every position, I'm not going to sort through and spend a lot of time looking at someone that does not have an EU work permit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense.
Well, especially right now, I don't know if we're ever going to be allowed out of our country again. So
I didn't either. Oh my goodness, I wanted to go to America. I wanted to go to Paris, but I guess both things are ruined now, I guess.
Yeah,
that's PDXCon, but it wasn't on.
Yeah. What the hell? We should have a disease PDXCon. Come on.
The US is just going to be like the real world version of Lordaeron. It's just going to turn into the Plague Lands, and nobody's going to come here. And so anyway, is there anything else, Johan, that you wanted to shout out? Anything you're doing or anything that the company is doing that you want people to pay attention to, other than obviously CK3 coming out in a few weeks?
Well, CK3 coming out now. It's pretty awesome. We have a lot of teams working on new stuff for all these games, and I'm not going to spill anything. So it's pretty good. Grug is in the chat.
Do you have a vanity character? That's the important thing.
Yeah, I have one. I didn't make a portrait for him because I'm bad at making portraits. But I'm a Norse martial guy, whatever, something in Dalarna somewhere.
I didn't know the staff made their own portraits. I kind of assumed that somebody did it for everyone. I imagine official portraitor,
Oh, yeah.
I like my main imperator, the maid, so I'm the only one that actually have white hair in the game. So you can, if you want to breed Targaryens, you should breed me. That sounds weird in a way, but yeah.
And if you want to know where that is, he is in Sparta.
Yeah.
And you know the name I picked for it?
It doesn't it mean something like proud? It's Aegeid, something like that, isn't it?
Priapid and last name.
Priapid, that's it.
It's a god of dicks.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Basically worshipping a god of dicks or something like that.
And now you can make you a god as well.
Yeah, you can deify. Yeah.
Deify the dick.
Deify deify the dick. Yeah. I think Western society has already done a pretty good job of deifying the dick, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh God. Why?
Yeah. What was Meneth saying?
Sorry, Meneth said that the good people at making portraits are busy enough to only make them for vanity characters if appropriately bribed.
Yeah.
So,
bring them snacks or something. Yeah.
Social distance, remember though.
A case of beer appears at your apartment.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Rose, what have you been up to lately, and where can people find your stuff?
I am on Twitch and YouTube. Twitch, I've basically been streaming only Humankind lately. We'll see. Over on YouTube, I've got my very last Crusader Kings 2 series going, which is devolving into some very interesting things. I think Lambert has had an aneurysm looking at the map a few times.
Yeah.
I mean, Finland is still alive and they're Norse, Germanic. So that's something.
Not Sumanusko?
No, they're not Sumanusko. At one point they were Catholic and they became Germanic again.
Well, I mean, at least they went the right way.
But the Aztecs just declared a holy war on them.
God, imagine enabling Sunset bloody invasion.
But don't worry, Iceland is still Irish.
Oh my God, what's wrong with you?
And then I've also been doing Humankind open dev videos, which I believe Lambert's doing as well.
Yes, though I've only basically been putting one video per open dev scenario thing. So far, I think I've got 6 Humankind videos out.
Excellent. Yes, Leia, Lambert, where can people find your stuff, and what else have you been doing?
I'm on YouTube. I'm called Lord Lambert there because I have a high opinion of myself. I actually just reached 17,000 subscribers today, so I'm quite happy with that. It was in large part down to the Mayo and Taxes videos that I've done recently, and also the new what's it called Imperator game that I've done as the Epirids. So that's been pretty good. There's a new episode of that releasing in like 7 minutes, so that should be good as well. But yeah, I'm over on YouTube there, Twitter, all that good stuff, and yeah, go find my stuff, and it's fun, hopefully.
Loris, what have you been up to, and where can people find your stuff?
Well, you can find me on Twitter on FabLoris and chapelcomic.com. Probably the best place to find me. Done a bit more stuff on Humankind, publishing a comic every week as part of the What If campaign, which is still very good. Still encourage everyone to take part of it. I should say too, I'm doing it as a sort of example. I'm not in the competition or running, so please participate.
That just wouldn't be fair if you got
If you're worrying about me pipping you to 4th place, don't you worry. I've got you. I've got you covered. But apart from that, just catching up on drinking still. Very important. It's too hot to do any work for the last 3 days. It's hell here. Please send help. Wales is dying.
Yeah, so if you know any like rain deities or anything, yeah, send them lores his way.
Come here, just do a massive rain dance. It's like signs
can make it rain if you worship it enough. That's the worst thing I've ever said on this podcast.
Bless the rains.
Well, I am Lord Sworn Order on Twitch. We have been we're going to be finishing up our EU4 Brittany game fairly soon, probably this weekend at some point. I also want to do some Total War Troy now that that's out. Not sure when yet, and then obviously big plans for CK3. So
I think we all have big plans for that.
Oh yeah. I have very, very big plans for CK3. Which ones of them will end up being more ambitious than my schedule and attention span will allow? We'll find out. But
you want to hear my CK3 plans right now?
Go for it. Yeah,
I'm gonna go down, get a nice cold beer, and sit and play CK3 for a few hours.
That sounds amazing.
You are
good.
Such a tease.
I'm a troll.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite ruler to play in CK3 so far?
Himself, obviously.
I actually like playing the Duke of Barcelona in 8 whatever, starting the 867 or something.
Catholic or Muslim? Is Barcelona?
I like to play in the Catholic one, and once I played like a few generations in, I was like busy shagging everything that I could, because there's always good to have more players.
like a good Catholic.
Make the baby.
For some weird reason, if you're a female, it's slightly more frowned upon than if you're a male. So I had to make my own heresy where it was not. Where the key thing was to make it egalitarian for being shagging around.
Oh yeah, if you're a guy and you sleep around, we're going to give you the side eye. But if you're a girl and you sleep around, we're going to burn you at the stake. Can't have that. No.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very appropriate. But, if
luckily
religion doesn't suit you, just change it.
And hey, remember in CK3, you can change the rules so that there's more equality from the start.
Yeah.
Right.
Which was something
I think I'm going to prefer doing regular and then changing it myself.
Well, that's a good goal too.
Yeah.
No, I mentioned that in one of the Discord conversations I was having. Someone was asking me who I wanted to play first, and I was like, well, normally I'd go straight for the pagans, but now that I can make my own Catholic heresy that's just like Gnostic matriarchal nudists, pretty much the whole map is my vibe now. So it's
I'm going to play Tibet.
One last question from Ahmed is asking if in CK3 can you make a new house dynasty? I do know that they confirmed that there will be a ruler designer added for free at a later point. It won't be out at release.
That's going to be like my main way to play.
And if he's asking if you can create a cadet house and change the name of that cadet house, I'm like 95% sure the answer to that is yes.
I think there was a dev diary on that somewhere.
You can go and have a look in about 10 minutes, can't you? You bloody troll.
I'm
not jealous at all. No.
Benedict says you can rename your house if you're the head of it. So congratulations, you guys are no longer the Carlings. You're we're all gonna die. Because
I remember. I know we're trying to Carolingians, but I'm going to tell a little story before we go. I was once teaching a friend how to play CK2, and I was playing a Merchant Republic, and I was explaining about when you're like a leader, you can change your titles of your dynasty. And I thought, I'll just use an example. And I said, like, okay, I'm going to rename Venice to, I don't know, Fart Butts United or whatever. And as soon as I did that, I died and lost the head of the Venetian Republic. And I was stuck as Fart Butt Republic or whatever for at least like 100 years.
Oh, man.
Love it.
Johan, thanks so much for coming on the show again. You're always welcome back, obviously.
Definitely. It's an absolute pleasure every time.
You guys can follow the show. We're NoCB Cast pretty much everywhere. Twitch, Twitter, SoundCloud. We're on Spotify. We're on Stitcher. We're on all the cool stuff.
YouTube.
Excuse me, YouTube is cool. Why aren't we on YouTube?
I did say in the Discord that I would start putting the episodes on YouTube when Victoria 3 comes out. So you guys can hold me to that.
But Victoria 3 is not coming out until Paradox runs out of toilet paper.
Okay, so if you want the episodes on YouTube and you want Victoria 3, you have to go burn all of the toilet paper at the Paradox offices. That's obviously what needs to happen.
So we're waiting for the second wave of Corona then.
Please, no.
If it comes out tomorrow, then I'll honor that commitment.
God, I'm like half tempted to just do it myself.
Okay.
Make your own Victoria.
Thank you for watching, everybody.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Johan?
I was just gonna say, just make your own Victoria game.
Yeah,
you've already got the trademark rights to Victoria.
Well, you can call it Bismarck or something.
Yeah, but Victoria's cooler than Bismarck because she's English.
Just start your own studio and make your own grand strategy game about the Victorian era. Yeah,
because my lack of modding skills is going to just completely go away when it comes to making a game instead.
What you do is you just change the title screen. That's all you need to do. Done. Just keep it as any other game.
Oh, Rabbit Boggling is pointing out Victoria is also German, so...
Yeah, and Rabbit Boggling is
And she
wrong.
married a German.
All right. We are supposed to wrap it up. Let's
we'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. See you around.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.